Everybody, welcome to today's operator meetup. We are here with our host with the most, Mr. Ken Huizenga, and we have special guest Marco from KMBEU. First off, Ken, how are you doing, sir?
I'm great. I'm not at home today, so we're on the road, but we're winging it, and we'll get this done.
We're gonna get it done. Well, listen, we have an interesting theme today, right? And it's a theme that you talked about for a long time. That theme is why you love being an operator. And I think that's a really interesting theme to explore. Last month, we kind of explored like what makes a good operator, where do operators come from, where do the good operators come from. I think this is a little bit different because we're kind of digging into the passion side of the business. Tell us first off, why did you pick this topic for this month? And number two, why did you love being an operator? And what did that bring to the job?
I wanted to talk about it because there may be some people thrown at the machine, and we talked a little bit about it last week, who makes a good operator. I think there's a lot of passion, interest in the industry, and fire around embellished products. And I'd like to go to the beginning and just give you a little brief story about why we ended up with the JETvarnish, because I think that'll help you understand why I was so excited about becoming an operator. As somebody that was in middle management at my shop, I was getting bombarded with things that they were asking us to do in production that were just so laborious, non-fun, difficult, and often were problems or bottlenecks within the shop. I'm talking about things like, hey, can you spot UV? Well, a lot of people know spot UV usually had to be taken off site to a special piece of equipment because a lot of people couldn't do it. Or you had to you had to cut blankets, or you had to order Cyrel plates. Um, then, as we got more into the digital side of things, people wanted foil. And it was like, this
Yeah.
is ridiculous. This guy wants 500 business cards, and we're going to order an engraved die, wait a week, get it, have this horribly laborious process to actually get this guy's 500 business cards. And often that die was never used again because it was personalized in some way, right? It was Jack's die, and now Pete wanted cards, and you can't even use the same die anymore. And the dies would stack up, and the problems with keeping them ready to go would be a problem because you had to file them and keep them somehow organized. Every bit of this stuff was a real problem in production, and we hated it. We just hated it. So when I got together with a lot of the estimating people and a lot of the salespeople, I said, what problems can we solve? What if I'm going to go and I'm going to look at a machine at this year's Graph Expo and whatever the show was at the time, what give me some of your biggest pain points. What can we solve? And as a true operator, somebody that really ran presses in production, I wanted to be the person that solved the problems
Yeah.
for the staff. I wanted to make it easy to sell this work, easy to never say no, to always say, yes, we have a way, or yes, we have a machine, or yes, we can depend on an outside vendor. But outside vendors were pretty unpredictable too. They didn't want to do your 500 foil business cards. It was not a job that was profitable for them going
Of
back and
course
forth.
not.
So
Of course not.
I wanted to solve these problems. And just to, I know I don't want to hit on this just a little bit. That's when I first met you, Kevin, and your dad.
Yeah.
And once I brought up these issues that I was having in my shop, you told me that you were coming along with a machine that was going to solve these problems. And you two were as enthusiastic as you were about this technology. I felt like I was going to be an empowered operator. I could help the business, I could help the staff, I could be the guy that they came to with all these issues. And when we got to that point and that machine came in, it was God, it was so much fun.
It was some work, buddy. You invented some stuff on that machine, by the way, that we didn't know was possible. But I think that was what made you guys so different, is that you approached it with that key word. Like you had that curiosity of, I wonder if, and I let's be honest, we talk to a lot of printers, Ken. We do a lot of trainings with people who have this equipment. the ones who have those people in the operator position that have that, I wonder if I could do this, or I wonder what it would look like if I did that. They always seem to have the upper hand in the market.
Yeah, so I'm sorry for the beginning story, but it became such a huge part of why I wanted the machine and why I wanted to run the machine. That was just the beginning, right? We could talk about a lot of specifics on the machine and why, as an operator, all of the tools that have been added to this to the MGI at this point have made it even easier to do the work. But when that machine first came in, they were like, "Can we have a short run foil job?" Yeah, beautiful. Can we paint the whole sheet with UV varnish? No, absolutely not, right? Because that's the thing. I always said, if you have uh, equipment in your shop to do 3,000 things, they're going to want 3,001 and 3,002. The nice thing about being a jet varnish operator is you can push that limit. You can now say, I could lay down two colors of foil at once. I can solve this problem. I can solve that problem. No, it's not a flood coater. You can buy a flood coater for a lot less money. But now it was yes, yes, yes. I'll look into it. We'll find a supplier. We'll get that kind of foil. Can we do this kind of stock? Yes. Well, get me some samples and we'll try it. You get into dine level, you get into a lot of the things that cause us operators a lot of fits. But luckily, the industry, even the paper industry, is now getting sheets ready at a dine level that even some of their fancier stocks are printable. So as an operator, you can now provide products for the shop that once were just dreamed about.
Yeah.
At a digital scale, right? Now, these runs are short. So why do I like to be an operator? I love short runs. I hate being on a job for 8, 9, 10, 12, 16 hours. It's
Boring.
monotonous, it's old, it's boring, it's legacy. I want to be able to sell, one of my least favorite words in the entire printing language is shells. Let's print
Oh,
some shells. Are you kidding me?
the
I
worst.
don't ever want to hear that word again in print because I want to take these jobs on a small basis. I want them on demand. I want to customize them and I want to get them on the cart and out the door in a couple of days if possible. And those are the fun ones, right? Because that one's done. And now I get to go to a whole nother setup process. I get to scan in a new file. I get to position things just the way I want. I get to grow elements that are not going to cause me any problems. I'm gonna maybe even suggest other design elements. I might say I don't think this silver is going to look great with the way the inks that this job is printed on. I think gold might be better. It's got a lot more gold tones in the artwork. Let's embellish it that way and let's see if we can make it even more appealing to the designer. So um, you have so much latitude as an operator on a jet varnish that you're the good guy almost all the time. Where you become the bad guy as an operator when you don't pay attention. Now you've got a machine that can give you all these fancy elements, but you're not watching for your pinholes. You're not watching for defects in the varnish. You're not keeping your machine clean. You're not really focused on the fact that this machine's doing a lot of operations in one pass, and you really need to pay attention. So there's good along with the bad, but I think if you approach it as here's a problem, I want to solve it, and I maybe even want to improve on it, and I'm going to pay attention to make sure the customer gets an awesome product because likely they're never going to go anywhere else for that because at this point in time in embellishment, you are one in a marketplace of maybe you represent a machine within 500 or 1,000 miles instead of you competing with, 20 different shops in your area. So you are you are a unique asset that is going to provide designers with just kick-ass product. Print
So,
cool shit, right?
so a couple of things, and I think I should mention this because the what they think printing outlook study came out this week, and there was like some big news there. Last year, when they asked the printers, where does digital embellishment rank in terms of your importance, in terms of where you think it's going to be this year? Guess what the percentage was last year, 2025? 4%. 4% thought that was going to be a key thing for this year. Do you want to take a venturous to guess? Same question this year. The
It
data
should be it should be 40.
It's 47.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad the industry didn't disappoint. So
Wow.
people are wrapping their head around it, and that's awesome.
Yeah. I
What
mean,
great
to go
news.
to 4% to 47% as the key area were to go this year, and from an opportunity standpoint, from printers, that's I think 127 printers that represent different parts of the industry. That was huge news. So I think absolutely when you say, hey guys, look, if you are an operator today, the opportunities for you guys to really shine and to usher in this new wave of embellishments as it's coming is huge. And number two, I love that you use the word love. Why it's fun, why I love being a JETvarnish operator in the idea behind this. Because I don't know about you, but all the operators that love their machines, like there's a special relationship, I think, at least when you look at the elite operators out there that we know, there is a special relationship, an undeniably special relationship between the operators and their machine. Do you see that too? Do you see like there is a certain amount of it's my machine, don't touch my machine. Oh, I know how to run it just right. Oh, I know exactly where to it's almost like a relationship that they have with this machine.
Yeah, 100, you're 100% correct. I think it's that way with any machine in production, but especially this one because it needs to be babied so much.
Right.
It needs a special amount of care, and the manager in me doesn't like that mine because I
Right.
want the team to build. I want them to teach other operators. I want as they become more valuable and know more about these technologies, they actually, you as an operator could actually get used in marketing and as a sales tool. You could
Right.
take samples with you and go with a salesperson to a client and promote the product because you know it so well. You know what it does good. You know what it doesn't do so well. And when you're gone, I want the next generation of operator to be trying a few things while you're gone. That operator might not run a job, but maybe you give him or her a small job from some overs you had and say, I want, I've told you a little bit about the machine, but now I want you to put some silver foil on this. And when I get back, we'll talk about, what you struggled with and what you didn't. So, I mean, again, there's so many great parts about being an operator. You get to be a teacher, you get to help sell, and you talked about relationship with the machine, but how about the relationship within the print shop, right? You were so siloed before. You ran a folder, maybe you ran a press, and you tried to avoid pre-press and you didn't get into sales very much. And now, because you're the go-to guy for all these difficult new technologies, you're the one that are going to learn to respect. You're going to get opinions asked of you. You're going to get brought in on sales calls. You're going to be the guy that brings the salesperson and the client around the shop. I don't know how many tours I did internally where they would come through the entire shop. I love to be last, right? I'd love to wow them with the cool stuff. I'd love to hand them something with texture. I'd like to tell them about the technology and why they should embellish and why they should spend the extra money for the impact. And you would watch them stand there next to the machine with a lizard or an alligator skin, and they would be touching it the whole time. And you're telling them all about, the different colors of foil you have and all the different things you can do. And then you stop in your tracks a minute and say, now you have just touched that texture on that alligator for the last 5 minutes while we've been chatting here. Do you want your clients to pay attention to your marketing collateral that amount of time? Because if you want them to be, what's the word, the relationship with the printed product, you want them to really immerse themselves in what they're getting. Yeah. So as an operator, you just play so many roles, and who doesn't want to be respected, right? Who doesn't want to be the go-to guy when things get a little difficult or a little challenging? And you know deep down inside that they think this is hard. This isn't going to be too hard. I got this AIS scanner. It's going to set it in place for me, and we're going to be blowing and going. And hey, that's a really one of the real cool parts about being an operator.
So it's funny because, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't have anywhere near the production experience you have. You've spent close to 30 something years in production. One of the things I really see come out in the operators is how often now sales are starting to involve operators in the sell of the job, bringing them in for their consultation. What do you think will look better? What do you think we should put? Can you recommend where we would put varnish? Can you recommend where we could put foil? Is there any other position in the workflow, in the production line, that actually can run a machine, but also consult on the design and the sales process as well that you can think of?
I
Or is it
think
relatively unique?
I think it's more about press operators because you get an awful lot of clients that come in for press checks.
Right.
And file doesn't look exactly like they were hoping. They were looking at that RGB image on the screen, and you're at the press, and they're like, "Oh man, you know what? That person looks like they have no color in their face." And you're like, "Yeah, watch this." You crank a little magenta onto the roller train. You jump out of your Grackle specs, and you go up like 5 points on magenta, and suddenly they're just overwhelmed with, "Oh my God, thank goodness we don't have to burn a new set of plates." So it's about more the operator, right? You're able to do some things with those presses that they don't know about. But honestly, those things that you can do, sales doesn't care about. They
No,
don't
but like what
care
I'm
that
saying is
you,
like, look at Matt Redbear. They take him on sales calls. They
yeah,
take
because
Matt on
because the
sales calls.
salespeople never really want to learn the minutia about how to be an operator and what can make a great looking piece. So to go
Absolutely.
with and it's really super cool because you can avoid downstream problems. If you send a salesperson out and they're like, "Yeah, we can foil 2-point type and we can the serif tails on a letter."
Yeah.
Absolutely no problem. You're there with the you're there with the client to go, "Hey, whoa, 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 wait a minute
Right.
now. Wait, this is new technology, but it can't do everything we can dream. So let's
Interesting.
let's let's talk about that. Let me explain why." And usually, with that kind of a background, it really helps designers design for it. You don't have all these difficult elements that you have to try and wrap your head around and deal with later. Because often, now there's some software out I hear that allows you to look at items and spin items and look at them three-dimensionally to see it. But before that, we had to actually do press proofs and sometimes going out with the press proof to the client was really nice because then you could show them, hey, remember we told you this particular element isn't going to look good? Here's an actual proof sheet to show you why that's difficult and maybe let's steer you to a different font and maybe a little bit bigger size and I think your impact is going to be the same and it'll make it much easier to get the product in and out of the shop because clients, let's face it, they not only want it, they want it perfect and they want it quick. And if anything in that design process stumbles and you're stuck with it at the end as an operator, it's an absolute nightmare.
So you're not saying that salespeople tend to oversell the capabilities of the equipment, are you?
No, I mean, I hate to bring it up. It never happens, but no. As I said earlier, if you can do 3,000 things, they want 3,001. But I just think it's a partnership, and as an operator, I guess I embraced all this. If you're the kind of operator that likes to be left alone, go ahead and stay in legacy print. There's a place for you. Youngsters don't really want to do that kind of work anymore, and if you're great at it, stay there. But I don't know. I found it fun. I didn't really I did not see myself as a salesperson. I still don't. But I think that um, if you can if you can provide that, if you're the tool to make embellishment a success, I think it can have a multifold impact on the success of not only embellishment but the profit margin because you're going to make sure that it flows smoothly.
I agree. I agree. I agree. All right. Well, listen, Ken, I think that's been a really fascinating discussion on the operators side of things. Is there anything else that you want as the operators tune into this conversation to kind of let them know? Is there any words of advice or other parting piece of information that you think is important for us to cover?
Well, I happened to be part of a conversation earlier today about youth. And I
Yes.
think if you're young and you're looking to get into this industry and you want an exciting part of it, this is a really up and coming exciting part of it. If you're in a shop and you're already there and you're being asked to do a task that maybe isn't so much fun, don't be afraid to reach into this area because this area, like you just said, what, 47%?
High growth.
Um, all these owners are going to be starting to look at this careful and probably will end up with a machine in the near future. And you want to be a part of it because it's such a cool part of the industry.
Yeah.
It is challenging and it allows you to grow as an individual as well as a professional.
I love it. I love it. Well, Ken, thanks again for hosting this wonderful operator meetup. We always appreciate getting some words of wisdom from you, my friend. Looking forward to next month's session together. And in the meantime, have a wonderful rest of your day, a rest of your vacation, I should say. And thanks for hopping on with us this week. We really appreciate it, my friend.
Thanks, Kevin. It's been fun.
All right. See you guys. Bye.